Vrindai Hai Tulsidevai Priyai Hai Kesavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Vrindai Hai Tulsidevai Priyai Hai Kesavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Jai Tulsi Maharani
Jai
Jai. Okay, can I have the cartels? All right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so today is a very special day on the Vaishnava calendar. It's Akshaya Tritiya, and so we're going to be speaking about that today, and telling some of the stories that are connected to this particular day, and telling you what you can do besides buying gold. No. If you buy gold, you got to give it away in charity to the sannyasis.
Yes, Guru. Yes. Then I'm buying gold.
Okay. So, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari 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 Gopi Jana Madhava Giri Madhanati Jaya Gopi Jana Madhava Giri Madhanati Gopi Jana Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Madhava Giri Madhanati Yodananda Raja Janananda Yodananda Raja Janananda Raja Janananda Tera Manachari Tera Manachari Amuna Tera Manachari Tera Manachari Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravichacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalanad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sai Makunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Vishwaradam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Vinamai Ki Jai Srimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda. All glory is the assembled one. All glory is the assembled one. All glory is the assembled one. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Srinivadi Paschaja Deja Tarni. Okay, so before beginning class, I just want to ask for everyone to pray. We chant Hare Krishna once for His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, who's in the hospital in Delhi right now.
Oh.
So, yes, very unfortunate time.
Yeah.
The time factor. So we'll chant Hare Krishna together. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
So, Om Gadad Timidanda Shah Gadanjana Shlakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So today is Akshaya Tritiya, which is a very auspicious day on the Vaishnava calendar, and we're going to describe some of the auspicious things that happened. First thing is the appearance day of Parashuram, the warrior incarnation of the Lord. We'll tell his story in a second. It's also the appearance, or on the earth planet, of Ganga Devi, the Ganges, the heavenly Ganges. It's the day that Sudama entered Dwarka and got blessed with all the riches. It's the day that the Pandavas got this Akshay Patra from the sun god. Wow. It's the day that Srila Vyasadeva started the Mahabharata. It's the day that Kuvera got his money. That's probably the most important thing for all of you. And it's also the day that, first day of the Chandan Yatra.
Yeah.
For 21 days they put Chandan on the deities. So all these happen today. So basically things we're going to do today, okay, things that some of you should do. We're going to tell the story of Parashuram and Ganga Devi. And also it's a special day for Anadan. So those are going to be eating prasadam this morning. Then and Naveen and family are going to be doing a lot of Anadan today. And you're going to be getting Anna take. Instead of on a give, you're going to be on a take.
We should give some to them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think they want you in their kitchen. So it's a very, very good day to give donations for spiritual causes. A very important day. And of course in India, people are buying gold. And on this particular day and the days preceding, the price of gold goes up like about 20%. So I don't advise you to buy gold. Just take off all your gold and give it to me. All you ladies, just all your gold jewelry, turn it in. And we can give it for the new temple. Yeah. Anyway, so you don't have to do that. It's a joke. So anyway, we're going to talk about. Okay, let's talk about the Akshay Patra first. Actually, sometimes devotees use that word for their own prasadam distribution programs. They call it Akshay Patra. So the Pandavas were in the forest. This is an interesting story from the Mahabharata. The Pandavas were in the forest and they weren't concerned with their own food. It's not that they got the Akshay Patra for themselves. They got the Akshay Patra. What happened is that Yudhisthira Maharaj was very concerned because with them there were a whole bunch of Brahmins. And so naturally they wanted to take care of the Brahmins. I mean, it'd be a great offense. You have all these Brahmins there and you don't feed them. So their spiritual master, Domya, who was accompanying them at that particular point, advised them to pray to the sun god. The sun god came, and the sun god awarded them this Akshay Patra, which is, Patra means leaf, but it's actually a bowl, a leaf bowl, in which would provide unlimited food as long as Draupadi had not eaten. So there's a famous story in regard to that Akshay Patra. When Durvasa Muni came, actually, go back a little bit. So Duryodhana wanted to send Durvasa Muni to create problems for the Pandavas. Because Durvasa Muni, as his name implies, he has a very bad temperament. Durvasa. Vasa sometimes means face or temperament. So Dur means bad. So he thought, well, if I could send him and his 10,000 or 10 million, it was 10,000 disciples to the Pandavas, right after Draupadi eats, then they're going to get in big trouble. So Durvasa Muni comes with his 10,000 followers and says, we're going to take prasadam. And Yudhisthira Maharaj is in anxiety, everyone's in anxiety, and they think of a plan. Okay, go take your bath first. Because Draupadi's already eaten, and there was nothing left in there. Basically, they didn't think anything was left in there. So they go take their baths, saying their mantras. In the meantime, the Pandavas are in complete anxiety, and Draupadi, as she usually does when there's a problem, what does she do? She chants, Govinda, Govinda. And Krishna appears and says, what is the problem? And he says, I'm hungry too. And Draupadi says, now I got a bigger problem. I can't feed you, and I can't feed Durvasa Muni. And Krishna said, no problem. Let's see the pot. So he goes to the pot, looks in the pot, and sees one little grain of broken rice, takes it, eats it. Delicious. And because Krishna is satisfied, like the example given in the Vedic literatures, is that when you water the root of the tree, then everybody becomes, or all the leaves become watered at the same time. So, because Krishna was satisfied, all the sages, all the Durvasa Muni's sages and himself, bathing in the river, actually their bellies became distended. Like when your belly, you just feel you can't eat anymore. And the Mahabharata actually describes that they felt so nervous about going to see the Pandavas after that point when they couldn't eat anything, when Draupadi had probably prepared a whole meal for them, that they decided to run away. And the reason they ran away is because previously they had experience of offending a Vaishnava, Yamaraj Ambarish. So Durvasa Muni just didn't want to get into that whole thing again. So he was even worried about offending Vaishnavas. So anyway, that's the story of the Akshay Patra. And then let's tell the story about the Ganges, which is a really interesting story. I have my notes here. So we know that the main bathing places for the Ganges is Gangotri and also Gomukh. And Haridwar, Allahabad, where the Triveni is, and there's another place called the Sagar Island, where it meets the sea. So these are main places. So here's the story. Once upon a time, there was a king, Bohuka, and this king died when he was kind of young, and he had several wives. This is the problem with having a lot of wives. Actually, the word for having several wives is sapatni, which actually means with wives, basically, or with wife. So when you make a play on that word, it's sapatnya, it becomes with your enemies. So, because if you have more than one, we don't advise this. And you see this in the case of Chitraketu, who had 10 million wives. It's quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you manage that? It's more than the population of New Zealand. So anyway, so he had his wives and he died, but one of them was actually pregnant. And so this particular lady, she gave birth. But the problem is the other wives, they were really upset. And so they gave the lady poison while she was giving birth. And so what happened is the son was stillborn, he was okay. And he was called Sagara. Sagara means to be born with poison. Okay. And he had two wives. Again, more than one wife. And their names were Sumati and Keshani. And they worshipped Shiva for sons. And Sumati only gave birth to a lump of flesh. And she was told to divide it into 60,000 parts. I mean, pretty amazing. Hardly in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana you find ordinary births. Nobody comes out of the mother in an ordinary way. So anyway, so there were 60,000 sons, and they were evil, very evil. And Sagara, at the same time, he wanted to perform a horse sacrifice. So he was performing so many different horse sacrifices. But the problem is, when you try to perform too many horse sacrifices, Indra gets very upset. And Indra kept stealing the horses again and again and again. And so finally, they couldn't find the horse. And so he sent his 60,000 evil sons to look for the horse. And they went all over the place. They even had to dig a hole in the ocean, go through, come out the other side. And they saw the horse in the ashram of Kapila Muni. And when they saw the horse in the ashram of Kapila Muni, they thought, here is the thief. And they ran to attack him, and by their own, Prabhupada describes, by their own anger and envy, they burnt to ashes. So here were 60,000 kids burnt to ashes. So the son of the other wife, one son of the other wife, Keshani, of Sagara, was named Asa Manjasa. And he was very cruel. Like he killed all of his friends. But he wasn't really cruel, because he killed all of his friends as a trick, because he was a great mystic. He just wanted to have an excuse to take sannyas. So he took sannyas, and he brought all of his friends back to life. So there's a happy ending to that part of the story. So Asamanjana, before he took sannyas, he had a son named Angsuman, who searched for the horse, and Angsuman actually found the horse in the ashram of Kapila Dev. And what he did is he prayed to Lord Kapila Dev, and he got the horse back, and he circumambulated Lord Kapila Dev. And he was advised by Kapila Dev, Lord Kapila Dev and Garuda, that he should do something for his dead uncles. And because there were 60,000 of them, they were just a pile of ashes. He was told, you should bring down the Ganges to wash their ashes, so that way they get liberated. So this Angshaman performed austerities, but he wasn't successful as far as bringing down the Ganges. The Ganges was previously in the heavenly planets. Previously, the Ganges was brought by Urukrama. You know who Urukrama is? Vamana. It's Urukrama. Anyway. So he brought the Ganges to the heavenly planets, but then the Ganges was not on the earth planet. So Amsraman tried to bring down, he was not successful with his austerities. His son was named Dilipa. He was not able to do it. And eventually, his son, the son of Dilipa, was named Bhagirath. And for 1,000 years, he performed austerities. The Ganges appeared before him, also Lord Brahma appeared before him, and said, I'm willing to come down, but I have two objections. One objection is that I'm so forceful, I'm going to split the earth in two. Another objection is that all the rascals are going to bathe in me. And when they bathe in me, they just dump off their karma. And it's true. I mean, by association with, it's an interesting story. I'll tell another story about that. By association with those who were sinful, even like food cooked by those who are sinful, the mind becomes wicked. There's some injunctions. I mean, anyway, I don't know if I should get into the politics of this, but anyway, I just heard that sometimes devotees go somewhere on pilgrimage together and they stay at a hotel and they eat food cooked by people who are not vegetarians. So, Hare Krishna, be that as it may. So the injunction, one injunction is that even if you see the face of a non-devotee, you're supposed to run into the Ganges without changing your clothes, without putting on a swimming suit, and jump in. So, of course, that's highly impractical. I've always thought maybe we should carry like a spritzer bottle of Ganges water with us all day long. Go, wouldn't be a good idea.
But they sell it in a bottle here as well.
Yeah, Ganges water.
Yeah.
We could just spray everybody. So anyway, there's a story about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was somehow or other tricked and ate food from someone who was not Krishna conscious. It's interesting. He and Lord Nityananda were going to Advaitacharya's house, and on the way to Advaitacharya's house, they stopped at a Shakta's house, who was a so-called sannyasi, a household sannyasi, whatever that means. And they were taking prasadam, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. And then at the end of prasadam, the Shakta asked Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, would you like some happiness? And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being a little innocent young man, he said to Lord Nityananda, what does he mean by happiness? And Lord Nityananda said, he means liquor. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got so upset that he immediately jumped and swam all the way to Shantipur with Lord Nityananda, jumped in the Ganges, of course. So we have to be very careful about contamination. So the Ganges was very upset or cautious about coming down to the earth planet because you got so many, like we see nowadays, so many sinful people bathing in the Ganges. So Bhagirath answered her objections by saying, first of all, Lord Shiva would break your fall, so you don't have to worry about splitting the earth planet. And secondly, then the great sages will bathe in you, and they can purify even a holy place. That's really important point. So therefore the Ganges came down, landed on Lord Shiva's hair, but she was very proud. I'm so forceful. That Lord Shiva thought, no, we got to teach her a lesson. So within his hair, the locks, matted locks on the hair, he kept the Ganges. And so finally Bhagirath prays, and Ganges goes forth from Lord Shiva's hair in 7 streams, actually. You know, there's 7 streams of the Ganges. And then, as the Ganges was rushing towards the Ganga Sagara, the ocean, then there was another sage, his name was Janu. And he saw the Ganges coming and was going to flood his ashram, and he got so upset that he drank the Ganges. Bhagirath was upset too, because Ganges couldn't come and wash his ancestors. So eventually he prays to Janu, and Janu lets the Ganges out, and the Ganges comes down to the ocean. And Prabhupada said, because the Ganges runs into the ocean is also pilgrimage place. The ocean, because and that's why we see Lord Chaitanya bathing in the ocean too, because the Ganges water mixes with the ocean, so all the ocean water in the world is actually mixed with Ganges water and is purifying. So of course I don't advise everybody to learn surfing or anything. This is my sadhana today. So, okay. And then there's the story of Parashuram. This is quite an interesting story. Once upon a time, there was a great sage. His name was Richika Muni. And he had a wife, Satyavati. And he was such a great sage that he could arrange for nice kids for his wife. So he made these oblations. And at the same time, his mother-in-law, there's a mother-in-law story. His mother-in-law also, his wife's mother, also wanted to have another kid. So she said, can you make an oblation for me? But his wife, that means his mother-in-law also, they were Kshatriyas. So he made a Kshatriya oblation for her and a Brahmin oblation because he's a Brahmin. So even though he married a Kshatriya girl, that's all right. That's called an Anulom marriage. There's two types of mixed marriages. One is Anulom, the other one is Pratilom. In Anulom marriage, a person of a higher caste can marry someone of a lower caste. But in Pratilom, which is generally prohibited, a person of a lady of a higher caste should not marry, or that's Pratilom, does marry, a man of a lower caste, and it creates a lot of problems. A lot of problems when you have, let's say there's an interesting example. It's Devyani and Yati. Big problem, because he was so lusty and she was Brahminical and her father was Shukracharya, so it's really problematic. So when you arrange marriages, at least the man should be of a higher caste. Caste doesn't mean just birth, it means qualities in work. Chaturvarnamaya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So, anyway, so here's what happened. So, Rishika Muni's wife, whose name was Satyavati, and mother-in-law, I don't remember the name of the mother-in-law, but the mother-in-law thought that her daughter had better oblations than her. So she switched. And so she got the Brahminical oblations, and the daughter got the Kshatriya oblations. Satyavati got the Kshatriya oblations. And so when Rishika came back and found out, he said to his wife, "You're going to give birth to a fierce Kshatriya." And his wife said, Satyavati said, "No, please, I don't want any Kshatriya. Fierce Kshatriya." And he said, "All right, your grandson will be a Kshatriya." So the grandson's name was Jamadagni, was the father of Parashuram. So he married this lady named Renuka. And he was very religious man. He was a Brahmin, and he had 7 sons. And one of his sons was named Parashuram. That means the Ram with the axe. And this Jamadagni was so pious that he possessed a wish-fulfilling cow named, of course, it's called a Kamadhenu. Means it fulfills all your wishes. So one day, while Parashuram was away from home, there was a great king. His name was Kartavira Arjuna. And this Kartavira Arjuna previously had defeated Ravan. Kartavira Arjuna had stopped the flowing of the Ganges one day. He had 1,000 arms. You can imagine what it looked like. It's just like a centipede. You can imagine. Or a millipede. You ever seen a millipede or a centipede? You have them here in Australia.
Yeah.
We have a lot in the United States.
Yeah.
All over the place. And so he was stopping the Ganges, and then we find Ravana got really upset, and they had a fight, and then he imprisoned Ravana. And they made a deal after that. So he was so powerful, he could defeat Ravana. This is how big a powerful personality he was. So Kartavira Arjuna was going through the forest, and he came upon the ashram of Jamadagni. And Jamadagni said, please take some prasadam with me. And all your soldiers can take prasadam at the same time. So Jamadagni received them, and he used Kamadhenu to give them enough prasadam. And not only did they get prasadam, but they all got whatever they wanted. Can you imagine sitting down at a meal and just thinking, I want pizza, or ice cream, or boiled broccoli. Like me. That's what I would do. Or have yogurt. Have yogurt. So anyway, they all got what they wanted. And then later on, after the meal, they were all entertained by dancing girls that came out of the Kamadhenu. Pretty good, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I like that with Kamadhenu. And so the king, Kartavira Arjuna, thought, the Kamadhenu must belong to me. This is actually very similar to the story of Vishwamitra Muni and Vashishta, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the king said, it must belong to me. And while Parashuram was away, he stole the cow and brought the cow to his ashram, or his capital. Then Parashuram comes back. Hearing of this, he becomes as angry as a trampled snake, and dressed in black deerskin with matted locks of hair. He took up his axe and started wielding it and twirling it. And he went after the king, and he approached the king's army, killed everybody in the king's army, and chopped off all the king's arms. And with a final swing of his axe, he chopped off the king's head. But his father, Jamadagni, was not pleased with this. He said, this is a great sin. You have killed this emperor. Whatever he did, he's meant for protecting us, and without an emperor or a good king, there's no protection in the city or in the country. So Parashuram felt very sorry, and so then he decided to go to the forest for a year to atone for his sin. So after 1 year of visiting the holy places, he returned home. So when he got home, something really heavy happened. And we don't advise people to do this at home. So his mother, Renuka, started to lust after a Gandharva, because she had gone to take some water for her husband's ritualistic ceremony. And so she saw this Gandharva there dancing with all his Gandharvinis, apsaras or whatever. And she thought, just like sometimes you married ladies go to a Bollywood movie and you look at Akshay Kumar, who Akshay Tritiya is named after. Anyway, you go there and you forget your husband. Does that happen to any of you ladies?
Forget that.
What?
Can't forget husband.
No, but you think it would be nice to have him as my husband. It happens. I know none of you are going to admit it, but isn't it? True. See, so, yeah, Who would want that husband when you got someone, like that? With Salman Khan.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what happens. If you're exposed to an object of lust, you actually forget. Avartam jnana mechena jnani no vai dityavarna kama rupena kuntiya duprena lena cha. So anyway, so what happened is that she got back late with the water for her husband. And her husband, being a great mystic, understood what was on her mind. And he said to his sons, kill your mother. She has committed adultery in her mind. Oh my God. Oh my God. And the son said, no, Dad. And then he turned to Parasuram and he said to Parasuram, kill your mother and kill your brothers. And Parasuram said, yes, Dad. We shouldn't follow in his footsteps, because there's a happy ending to this. So he goes and he cuts off everyone's head with his axe. And then Jamadagni becomes very pleased, and he says, oh, my dear son, you're obedient. Ask for a benediction. And he says, bring them all back. And then they all come back. So, all right, so fast forward a little bit. And so Parashurama and his brothers are out in the woods. At the same time, the sons of Kartavira Arjuna want some revenge. So they come, sneak up on Jamadagni's ashram, and seeing that Jamadagni is actually in meditation, and they creep up from behind and chop off his head. And they carry the head away. So Parashuram and his brothers hear, because the mother is there at the same time. Renuka, she's there, and she's screaming, Ram, 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 please come. And so the sons come back and they become overcome with grief, and they cover their father's body, and with eyes blazing, Parashuram takes up his axe and goes to the capital city. And he cuts all the sons' heads off, and he starts cutting every single Kshatriya's heads off, and he creates a ghastly river of blood that flows through the entire land. And then, because the rulers at that time, they were sinful, and their children were sinful, and their children's children were sinful, and their children's children, I could do this 21 times.
Yeah.
He killed 21 generations. Oh my God, of Kshatriyas. And he created 9 lakes, which are known as the Samantaka Pataka. And many pious Hindus go there today to take bath in these lakes, remembering Parashuram's pastimes. So this is pretty heavy. So one may question, the Mahabharata explains how we got Kshatriyas again, since they were all killed off. What happened is that the Brahmanas, they were given permission to have a relationship with the Kshatriya ladies, and therefore a whole group of good Kshatriyas was produced. So that's the story of Parashuram. So anyway, so these things occurred on this particular day. Different stories. So anyone have any questions or comments about these points or these stories? Yes?
Gurudev, so we understand Parashuram is an incarnation of Vishnu.
Yeah, he's an incarnation of Vishnu.
What sort of, like in terms of the number of, the percentage of qualities, or how does he portray that? Because he didn't, when Lord Ram came as well, Parashuram was also present.
Yeah.
But he couldn't understand or identify Lord Ram's position.
Well, there's 2 ways of looking at that. There's another way of looking at it. One way is that he didn't understand Ram's position. Some of the acharyas explain that he did understand, but he wanted to show, it was like a drama that he was putting on deliberately to show Lord Ram's exalted position. So I would rather accept that explanation. Although we do find when 2 avatars of the Supreme Lord meet, they don't often or don't always understand what the other one's doing. I mean, like you have Balaram and Krishna. when Krishna was making all the plans for Subhadra to be kidnapped, Balaram didn't know anything about it. So even though Balaram, God, Krishna, God, they're omniscient, sometimes for pastime's sake, they actually relinquish their omnisciency, whatever you pronounce, their omniscient aspect. Okay, that's a better way to put it. Rather than inventing a word like omnisciency, which might be a word. They relinquish their omniscient aspect in order to enjoy certain pastimes. So there's two ways of explaining that. So it was a pastime between two incarnations of the Lord. Of course, everyone knows the story of Parashuram getting real angry when Lord Shiva's bow was broken. And then Parashuram comes and says, "Who has broken this bow?" And Lakshman said, "Nah, when we were kids, we broke so many bows." And Parashuram says, "Who is this whippersnapper?" Yeah, and then, so Lakshman is really feisty at that particular point. And finally, Lord Ram says, "I'm the one who did it. I'm the guilty one." And he said, "If you think you're so powerful, take this bow of Lord Vishnu." And in the actual Valmiki Ramayana, it describes that before he could give Lord Vishnu's bow to Lord Ram, he saw it with Lord Ram. This is Valmiki Ramayana.
Yeah.
In other words, I know in the Tulsidasi Ramayana, he gives him the bow, and he's holding it, and he fires it. But in this particular case, in the Valmiki Ramayana, he already had the bow in his hand. So Parashuram looks up and goes, "Oh my God, he's Vishnu," and he's pulling back the bowstring. And he says, "I have to fire this arrow. Where should I fire it? Should I fire it at your ability to travel all over it?" Parashuram says, No, don't do that. You could destroy my pious activities and my pride. So he fires it at his pride and his pious activities. And then Parashuram disappears. So, very important in personality, one of the Dasha avatars, Parashuram. So, any other questions or comments? Yes?
Gurudev, is Manasi Ganga the kunda in Govardhan?
Yes.
And Ganga itself, are they same?
Yeah, they're not different.
It's just a different name?
No, just different location. Different name, whatever. Manasi Ganga. There's the story when Krishna, of course we know that Manasi Ganga was created out of Krishna's mind, or manifested out of Krishna's mind. So later on, the residents of Braj, particularly Nanda Maharaj and some others, wanted to go to the Ganges to leave Vrindavan. And Krishna says, "You're not going. The Ganges is right here." And they didn't believe Krishna. So then Krishna asked Ganga Devi to come out of the Manasi Ganga, and she came out. You've heard that story before.
Yeah.
I tell that story when I'm there.
Yeah.
So that's in the middle of Govardhan. It's considered, some people say it's the largest lake, or river, whatever you call it, within Braj, but I don't think so. Actually, I've been to the Surya Kund, and it's actually quite bigger than that. Surya Kund is very beautiful. Practically nobody goes there. Very isolated place. So if you join us, December 15th, the 25th, then on to Ayodhya.
Yeah. We'll be
We'll
there.
talk about it. I'm thinking seriously about it.
I'm okay, Gurudev. As
No,
long as
you
it's
can't. You got to go back.
After Govardhan, no good.
No, you make your reservation. Go back after Govardhan. Behave yourself. I'm going with Naveen and family.
Jaribo.
We also
We are their family.
Yeah, we all gonna go.
No, I shouldn't have talked about it. Yeah, Yeah, just the idea of going to yoga is very attractive.
I agree.
I don't know if I can wait till next year. Anyway, so any other questions or
Gurudev, I have one more.
yeah?
So is Kamadhenu cow, the
Who? Kamadhenu.
Kamadhenu cow, is the same cow in Vishwamitra's past?
No, there's many Kamadhenus.
Oh, okay.
There's many Kamadhenus. And actually, if you have a cow, then and you treat the cow nicely, the goddess of fortune is there. Lakshmi is there. It's better than Akshay Tritiya. Keep a cow nicely. So if you don't have space here in Sydney for a cow, then you can sponsor one at some ISKCON farm. Yeah, just that we have New Go Cool. So any of you who want to keep a cow, you can sponsor a cow. And they'll be very happy if you can do that.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And they'll take care of it for
Yeah.
you too. So that way you get Lakshmi. By protecting cows,
Yep.
Lakshmi manifests herself. So, yeah. Yeah. All right.
So Gurudev, on today, the Chandan Utsav, so what's the significance of applying Chandan on today? Any?
It cools Krishna down. So in Singhachalam,
Simhachalam yesterday.
is that when they take the chandan
Yes,
away?
Gurudev. Yeah, yesterday that's the photo. Yeah. I've seen.
Yeah, they
So
take the
just-
chandan away.
They take the Chandan.
In Singhachalam, there's a deity of Varanashinga, and he's covered with chandan all year round, and he looks like a Shiva Linga. But then once a year, they actually take the chandan out, and you can see
Yeah.
his beautiful form. So, chandan yam. So, Prabhupada said, what's the purpose of chandan? It's to keep. Well, when Prabhupada went to Singhachalam, he said to cool his head down
Yeah.
because he's angry.
Yeah.
So it sometimes bewilders me why devotees put on chandan when it's freezing out. Isn't it? You go to a temple and they're putting chandan on Prabhupada, and I'm thinking, what are they doing? Isn't it? I don't know if you do that here.
We do even in winter devotees do
It should
I
be
was
done.
Thinking, yeah.
No.
Like I personally try not to do it.
You
but
stop
devotees do
them.
it.
You just say, this is
I've
rascal.
said it 3 times to devotees. Winter we don't put it.
Yeah, but it's meant, you put it actually on the sides of the forehead.
It
Like
cools
the
the
temple.
mind down as well, body and mind.
And most of the times the devotees put it in the wrong place. It's supposed to be in the temples,
Yeah, yeah.
according to Prabhupada, to cool the mind down. So if you're hot-headed, then use chandan. So in some places they cover the deities completely.
Yeah.
Now I don't, in the temples I'm in charge of, I don't let them do that because it takes off all the paint of the deities. So we just use a little chandan on the deities. But sometimes it's just like all over. But then you have to repaint the deities afterwards. So, and there were other questions, yeah.
Gurudev, Hare Krishna. I had 2 questions, Gurudev. Regarding the Chandan Yatra, what we usually do is we put some Chandan on the Tulsi leaf and we offer it to Krishna.
Yeah.
Is that still okay?
Yeah, I mean, usually you're supposed to put it on the deities.
Right, okay.
You know, even if you have a picture, you can put it on the forehead of the picture or something like that. It's meant to, you're meant to decorate the deities with chandan, especially the head of the deities. Okay, other question? Yes.
It's not related to the past tense,
Uh-oh.
but just one offline question. Like generally in Vrindavan, they sing the Vibhavari Shesha as part of the Mangalarati. Right?
Yeah.
So is that like also performed in other places? Or
No, that's only in Vrindavan, and I don't agree with it. Anyway, the reason they do it, here's the history, was because they have Prabhupada Samadhi there. And then they chant the Gauravashtaka at the Samadhi. So they're thinking not to repeat the Gauravashtaka for the deities. And they were advised by someone who was not a member of ISKCON to chant Vibhavari Shesha, Aloka Pravesha. So I don't really agree with it, but that's what they're doing.
Okay.
Because many people don't go to both samadhis, I mean both services. They go to either the samadhi or they'll go to see the deities. You know, so I think it's better. Anyway, I'm not in charge. So that's why they do it, because they were advised, because in the Gaudiya Math, they don't chant Gurvashtaka for Mangalarti. They would generally chant something like Vibhavbhata Shesha for Mangalarti. So it was an attempt to establish, I'm not saying that there's any bad motive, but it was an attempt to establish like the Gaudiya Math standard rather than the Iskanite standard. And personally, when I go to Mangalarti, I want to chant the Gurvashtaka.
I think they do both, right?
What?
Vrindavan they do both.
No.
At Samadhi they do.
It's Samadhi they do.
In Samadhi they do Gurvashtaka, but not like I said before, not everybody attends both artis in the morning, because then you'd be doing Mangalarti for 45, 50 minutes in the morning. So, whatever. Anyway, that's their discretion. It's not wrong, although it wasn't Prabhupada's system. I would, if I was in charge of the world, so if I was in charge, I would have them chant the Gurvashtaka twice. Once at the Samadhi,
Once at the
and once in Mangalarti for the deities. That's why it's different. That's the only temple in the world where they actually chant. And the interesting thing is, in Mayapur, where they do have two, like the Samadhi, they chant the Gurvashtaka both places. So I agree with what Mayapur does rather than what Vrindavan does. Although, I can't say it's wrong. I'm not criticizing anybody. It's a difference of opinion. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, Gurudev. So, Renuka didn't really lust so much, but she just thought in her mind.
Yeah, that's lust.
Would have been nice the way the Apsaras are actually enjoying, if I could enjoy for a little bit as well. And then, is it because was it during the Sat Yuga? That's why it's like it's like a big offense in mind. Just
Outside of Kali Yuga,
Yeah.
if you lust in your mind, it's
It's a
considered
big deal, right?
a big deal. We are fortunate. Don't take advantage of it. I'm not saying go lust in your mind, but you don't have to suffer for lusting in your mind.
Yeah, that's right.
But in previous yugas,
Previous
yeah.
yugas we have, yes.
But still, I can't really agree with Jamadagni for wanting his wife's head cut off for that,
And then
Sometimes these sages get really heavy. Like Ahalya wasn't, in one sense it wasn't really her fault, although, some people say it was her fault. But still, to be cursed to be a stone
Yeah.
for thousands or millions of years, oh my God. People should just chill out a little bit. I mean, if I had to deal with disciples like that, they'd all be stones by now.
Nobody can move like that.
Just Guru, Vyas Puja would be like the stones. So, we have to be some merciful. Prabhupada was very merciful like that. I mean, Prabhupada didn't condemn people. He just accepted people back if they did something like that. So I think it's really over the top to want someone killed because they committed adultery in their minds. So, yes.
Sorry. Maharaj, I got Salikram, that we found in Kaligandagi River in Nepal.
Oh, yeah.
I call as Laddu Gopal the little one. And I give bath every morning and I put chandan on
That's
Salikram.
nice.
Yeah, but I'm a bit confused about the Gauranita Sunda that we put in my house. I do give bath and everything every Ekadasi.
Going to time.
Yeah, Gauranita. And then I change dresses and everything. I put chandan at that time.
That's nice.
Yeah, is it okay to put chandan every day or should we put chandan?
When it's hot.
Oh, when it is hot, then we can put
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If it's not hot, I would put chandan on anything, on any deity.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little cold for chandan right now.
Yeah.
If you offered me chandan, I'd say, forget it. But in India, it is hot as HELL. At this time of year, you
It's
know.
very warm.
Yeah, it's
Oh
opposite.
my God! I mean, May, beginning of June is the peak, and then you get the rainy season in Vrindavan. So this is the peak. You know, it's at least 43 to 50 degrees every day. Walking out in the sun is like going into an oven, a blast furnace, like that. Like there was a famous author, Rudyard Kipling, who said that the only people who go outside in the summer are mad dogs and Englishmen.
Yeah.
It's like that. Although if you go to Govardhan, in the middle of this heat, people are doing parikrama in the middle of the day, and they're wearing long sleeve shirts. It's unbelievable. Me, all I could do was just like go on the floor, concrete floor, and embrace the floor. It was so hot. Then the house I stay in, I couldn't even go up to my room, second floor, because it's much hotter on the second floor, so I just stayed on the first floor. I didn't even use an air conditioner that whole summer. Can you believe that? And that, you know, didn't use an air conditioner. I thought, this is Maya. That's when I was a sincere. I had a fan, so there was me lying on and taking a bath like every hour. So definitely you want to use chandan at that time. It's a good idea. Okay, we should end now because we have a lot of things going on today. Shoot, it's late. Okay, thank you very much, all glorious.